Yo, what is up, guys? ShinobiEevee here, back again on another video for you guys. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're back again on another reaction for you guys. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about why is Nikke a massive success, and we're reacting to a video made by Nikke, who I already subscribed to. Make sure to subscribe to him as well. Makes really cool content. I've actually seen a couple of his videos talk about Nikke before, and I've actually seen a couple others from stuff like, other people like Zuxis and everything like that who made pretty cool content talk about Nikke, and that's pretty much how I've caught up with how everything goes as far as the game is going. And I know I made a video talking about my experience so far. I've been playing like 4 months, 5 months now, so without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get straight into this. And I'm gonna try not to pause as much because it is an 18-minute video, so I don't want to make it too long for you guys. And other than that, make sure you like and subscribe. Try and make more content for you guys. Try and spread out what I got going on, so that you guys are entertained. There's like a bunch of stuff for you guys to watch. And other than that, let's go ahead and get straight into this, because I know for a fact that this game's been making a lot of money, especially when they got more revenue. I'm pretty sure pretty recently. Whereas like they got like 30 mil over Honkai Star who got 20 mil that month. So it was crazy. But without further ado, let's go ahead and show you what this guy's got to say.
Nikke a massive success. With only one previous major project under their belt,
Never
is a Korean game studio
never
that rose
seen
from
that
the
game
shadows
too.
to great heights. Previously a relatively unknown team, now competing with the likes of Hoyoverse games.
Once again,
and even
that
at
was
its peak,
crazy.
Surpassing Honkai
That was
Star
crazy.
Rail's
That was like
monthly
last
revenue.
year.
The question
And
is,
I was only playing the
what
game
exactly
in
went
like
right?
November when
Let's
Tove
take a
came
look
out.
beyond the eye candy,
Keep that in mind.
beyond the exhilarating one-handed gameplay, and find out why this game, for seemingly degenerates, is able to compete toe-to-toe with the highest-grossing gacha games on the market.
There's one thing that I will say is the reason why this game is good, in my opinion, is because not only does it have like the waifu collector aspect to it, but then it got a story that's good behind it. It got a good, how would you say it? There's a word for it that my brain's blinking out right now. Quality of life. There you go. Why is my brain blinking out on that? But good quality of life features that have been. The game's only been out for like 2 years almost. So like good quality of life features have probably been in since the game got released. Great summoning feature. You basically got a 5% pull chance. You got like 1% to get the pilgrims, which would be in Genshin the Archons, so like equivalent to the Archons. Basically got 1% chance to get them, and a 4% chance to be able to get the regular Nikkes. And on top of that, you can even get some of the pilgrims on the regular banner. And then on top of that, you even get to choose what Nikkes from the 3 factions, Missilus, Elysion, and Tetra, you want to show up more. Like, just so much great things. But there's one thing that this game has shown me, because I haven't played this game mostly to the fact that I thought it was just another gacha simulator. I was proven wrong, granted. Is the fact that not only do they got the waifu aspect, but they got more behind it outside it. Like the waifu is like the icing on the cake, if you had to put it in an analogy, and then you got everything else below it. Also, this community, as far as like
Psyche, and today
the dev team, like they communicate to their player bases a lot, especially this one. They communicate a lot, which is nice.
From the perspective of outsiders, you may think Nikke looks like your typical harem waifu collection sim.
Which I did at first.
Mostly the case.
I'll grant
There's
say that.
actually a pretty good game underneath. Let's start from the beginning. How was the game initially marketed? Well, after some time in early access, the game launched on November 4th, 2022.
Which is insane that this game's only been out for 2 years and it's already this big.
The game grossed a total of $70 million.
Which, once
For a
again,
new
still
IP by
insane.
relatively unknown.
$70 million, a lot of games, especially gacha games, don't even make that until like a year or two after. So 70 mil for first month, that's basically that's around the same that Genshin did. I think Genshin did like 60 to like 100 mil? Something around that.
This amount puts it on the same level as
Yeah, there you
Genshin,
go, 61.
which is not bad at all. So how did they market the game to get this much success?
It's like
at
60
launch?
100 mil right
Well,
there. That's
the way
crazy.
they did it was interesting. It's very clear at first glance that it's not even trying to hide its heavy focus
Which
on
is nuts. I think one of the coolest things, where like as far as community is concerned, one of the coolest things about this game is the fact that they're really self-aware. Like, you do not care at all. They're really
to the point
self-aware.
where you wonder if they were self-aware. There were memes spawning about its concept.
Really self-aware, bruh.
You got popular online influencers.
Oh yeah, the
checking it out.
Asmongold video when he was reviewing it.
Me to play that game,
I remember that.
rather get paid
That was
than
funny.
do it for free, but even
I like a lot of Asmongold stuff.
There was an
He's
ad
really
for
real.
the Thai audience that was promptly taken down for being too on the nose.
That's
Instead,
crazy.
the player base complained.
That's
since
probably why
they
I didn't
thought it
see
was
the
too
ad.
rude to portray a fan of the game.
That's
like
probably
this.
why I didn't
But
see
to
the
be
ad
honest,
right there.
many
It's
would
because they
agree
took
that
it
taking
down.
the ad
But
was
you
a
already know people
travesty,
meme the
and that
hell
the
out of
game
it.
was perfectly self-aware of who its audience
You already
is.
know people
It is not
meme the
afraid to
hell
try.
out of that ad.
Please don't let me down.
You know people meme
Anyway,
the hell
despite
out of
all
that
it
ad.
got the ball rolling. It got people talking about it. I took a look and tried it out as the sexual innuendos were so ridiculous that I just had to see the game that everyone was talking about. It had a strong player base right out the bat. But just because it's successful at launch, it doesn't mean much if the game dies off soon after.
Which happens
The
to a
next
lot of
step
games. I feel like a lot of games, depending on it depends on a lot of factors in my opinion. Depends on the hit. Well, one thing is it a popular IP. Two, is it a popular studio making it? So they already well established. And three, how well do they treat their player base after launch? Because you can have a good game on launch and it still dies later on. I feel like Black Clover, which is another game that came out recently, has that problem right now. Is it was hype at launch, but depending on how they treated their player base, which I don't know because I haven't heard much about the game recently, it can die within 2 to 3 months, maybe 4 months. I feel like that first month to the fourth month period is where most games die if they don't treat their player base right and they don't get what they need to get done within those 4 months. That's basically it. Like, you gotta be on the ball with these games, because majority of your player base that's gonna be fun in this game are gonna be the whales. And if you don't satisfy the whales, let alone your free to play player base, or at least your dolphins, as you call it, like your light spenders, then the game's gonna die. The game is going to die. But I digress.
Is to use the money to make the game better and retain players.
I
Now, before I
digress.
continue, I do want to clear up a misconception that you may have heard if you never played it, is that the game is only selling because of its sexual themes. This is false.
Yep.
Plenty of gacha
Because you
games
gotta have
fail
story
because
behind it.
gameplay
You gotta
or
have
another
gameplay
aspect of
behind it.
doesn't
You gotta
pan
have
out.
something other than that.
It's a gacha game. You still have to make the game.
There are other
portion
games out
of it.
there
I'll save this
that probably
topic for a
do,
future video,
like, as far
but
as
just making attractive characters is not going
making
to work.
characters and
You
everything
still
like
need
that.
a good
It's a lot
game
worse,
beside it.
and they don't
Many
do as well
longtime
because
players
there's nothing
will
else
say that
but
it's
that.
the many other elements of the game that keeps them playing. It's either the lore, the story, the gameplay, and so on.
For me, it's the
which is what
story,
we'll
story
talk
and
about
gameplay.
next. So what did they do?
I'm not too
retain
sure about the lore
players?
too much.
Well, one of the first was that even at launch,
I think this is
they
one of the
already
few
had a
gacha games
lot of
actually
quality
where I'm
unlock
not really too
features like
interested in the
deploy
lore.
all for the
But I'm
daily
pretty sure there's a good
expeditions,
lore there.
quick battling to save time, and fairly generous rewards. The story was also off to a good start. There wasn't too much blocking
The story
or
is
progression
crazy,
until
bro.
a bit
Like, I'm
later.
at
And
chapter
what's unique
16
about
right now.
games
The
at
story
launch
is
that
crazy.
no one is at the end game yet, so no one can really attest whether or not the game becomes too grindy or not. The generous gacha rates is
Once again,
another
that
aspect that, alongside Shift Up's previous gacha game Destiny
5%,
Child, they are
bro.
extremely generous with the pull rates and freebies.
5%, and then you see these tickets up here. So basically, as you summon, you'll get these tickets, and you can use these tickets no matter what banner comes out to get a character from the mileage shop. Be it a pilgrim, which would be basically the archons of the game, like the very, very strong Pokemon. Not Pokemon. What am I talking about? Pilgrim basically being the archons of the game. You can get them off of that. You can get limited characters off of it. You even get regular characters off of it. It does not matter. And the best part is it doesn't matter what banner you summon on. Let's say you were to basically just summon for a year and don't use these. It's not like they disappear after the banner disappears. Like, you get to keep these. Meaning, right now, this guy, whoever's account he's recording, or whatever, if this is his, he basically has 3 characters right here. Because for every character, it's costing you 200 of these golden kit tickets. So he can get 3 characters without having to summon here. That is insane.
Nikke has an SSR drop chance of 4%, which statistically averages 1 every 25 pulls. There is a coin flip of 2% for the rate up, and every time you pull
And
on
you
the
can
banner
get these
using
characters
gacha
too
currency,
on the
you
regular
get
banner.
a mileage ticket.
Like the pilgrims,
Get
unless they're like
200 of
limited,
those, and
which
you can
a
just
lot of them
straight up
aren't,
exchange a copy of the rate up unit from the
then
shop.
like you're good.
These tickets are permanent, so you can hoard them as long as you please, for as many as you please. There is the cash shop, of course, and
You don't
honestly,
even need to do that.
I think
The
90%
cash shop,
of
I
it
feel
is
like,
whale bait.
once again,
You really don't need
don't
any
need
of
to
these
touch it.
packages that can be bought for real money. Just for simplicity,
You don't need to
I
touch
paid
it.
the $5 monthly
just
welcome.
do the $5 thing,
And a year into
$5
launch,
thing, and
I
you're
have
good.
all but 3 units in
And that's
the
if you even
entire
need to do
roster.
that.
That speaks volumes about how generous the gacha is, meaning I can play with more teams, and more units equals more ways to play. Even as a low spender,
Hell,
I
even
can
look at the
actually
animation
experiment
in
and
this
see
game,
what
especially
works,
like if
and
your
try
phone or
off
computer
meta
is
teams
good.
for
The
myself.
animations
But how is it possible
in this
to get
game
that
go
many units
crazy
from just
good.
being a low spender? Was I just lucky? Well, that's also partly because the vast majority of Nikke's released characters enter the standard pool after their initial banner.
Yep.
Only in very special
Bro, you don't know how
cases
many
like
times I've
summer
gotten a
and
random
fallout events
pilgrim on the
will the rate
standard
of
banner.
character be limited.
That's how I got
About
Scarlet.
90% of the entire roster you can just
And her,
randomly be
who I still
scooped
haven't
by
used yet
when
because
you
I don't
pull
know
the
what she
gacha.
does.
So with the 4% drop chance, you're going to be landing new units left and right. On the standard banner, you also get to wishlist 5 characters from each of...
Bro, needs to be like... This wish list needs to be like standard across every gacha game, bro. The fact that you can get 5 characters from any of these factions that are in this game, you have a chance of them to pull up, let alone a pilgrim, is nuts. Like, this needs to be absolutely standard across the gacha game, bro. I feel like Nikke is doing what a lot of gacha games... Like, Nikke is becoming like the blueprint for what a lot of gacha games need to do. As far as quality of life. Like, all around. Like, this feature is like the saving grace, let alone the synchro device, which he'll probably talk about later. I'll let him talk about that. Because I could go into detail on how they need to talk about that. But the video would be taking way too damn long. But oh my god, they need to add this into like
the 3 factions.
They need to add this
in
into
the
Bleach,
when you
bro.
pull an SSR
The Bleach
of
Berry
that
Souls needs this,
respective
and that game is
faction,
actually free to play as hell.
You are guaranteed to get one of the 5 units you've wishlisted. Again, a great quality of life to help you narrow down undesired characters. And if that wasn't enough, there's also a friend point gacha, where you can get the currency from just sending and receiving hearts from friends, which has a halved SSR chance of 2%, but you can still get SSRs for free from time to time.
I think I might have gotten a pilgrim off of that, but maybe not.
In place to ensure you're not left without a new SSR to play with for a while.
Yeah,
which
keeps people around.
That you still get a decent amount of the entire roster, even if you go into the game as a free-to-play. Now onto the daily grind. It's quite typical for a live service game to have daily tasks to keep you coming back. And as with other gacha games,
Nikke's daily grind is basically, like, in a nutshell, Nikke's daily grind is interception, simulation, daily story. Like, if you want to clear a chapter, that's probably only going to take you a couple minutes depending on how strong your team is and depending on where you're at in the story. Maybe going and messing around with the affection system in the game because it increases your stats depending on what level of affection the character you're messing around with is at. So there's that. What is it? The advice system. That's what it's called. There's that. And then you could mess around with Arena, but I feel like that's mostly there for just the whales. It's more like bragging rights than anything, so you don't need to touch that. So, like, you maybe only need to depend on what characters you have and everything like that. 5 minutes, 10 minutes max.
It's your output in Nikke. Luckily, due to how easy it is, you can get them done in around 15 minutes, assuming there's no special event happening,
5,
and
10.
can even put the game on auto for certain levels.
5 or 10.
The quick battle feature is also present if your combat
Also, I forgot
level
about
is
the
above
fact. Yeah, no,
recommended
I don't think I forgot, but it's like the auto feature.
Without having to go through
definitely a thing that needs to be added in every game.
Grind time by a pretty big margin, and it's even given as an option for clearing event stages for bonus currency. A feature certain other gacha games do not have.
Damn, that's crazy.
Certain
Shots fired. Shots
Shots
fired, bro.
are too grindy. But Nikke seems to respect your time while also demanding just the right amount to return every day. I think this should be the standard for future release live service games. The
Shots
daily
fired,
should
man.
take up to 20 minutes maximum. Everyone's got other things going on in their lives, and demanding too much time to maintain the game will just drive new players away. Another way live service games retain players is through elements of FOMO.
Bruh, Fortnite ruined everything. Like, ever since Fortnite put a battle pass up in their stuff, bro, now everybody got one. Now everybody gotta have one. Diablo, battle pass. Fucking Halo, battle pass. Hell, every gacha system in the game except for Bleach Brave Souls that I've seen so far. Actually, let me see. Out of all the games I played so far, actually, Epic 7 doesn't have one either. So Epic 7 doesn't have a battle pass. Sword Art Online doesn't have a battle pass unless you're playing some of the mobile games, and even then, some of the mobile games didn't have a battle pass. What else? Bleach Brave Souls, they don't have a battle pass. Am I missing something here? Genshin, they definitely got a battle pass. Oh my lord, they definitely got one. I don't want to complete it. Honkai got one, but it's pretty easy to complete, especially with all the stuff that they're doing. But yeah, for the most part, like, that whole battle pass thing has been screwing up a lot of games and a lot of studios too, because they'll throw a battle pass in the game thinking it's gonna win or do something, and then the game will flop because of the battle pass. It's crazy.
fear of missing out, like limited time events, limited time rewards, limited time skins, and battle passes. So how does Nikke
I feel like the
handle
only
FOMO
time I've
elements?
touched a battle pass
Let's
in
first go
Nikke
through the
was when
things that
Sugar's
truly
skin came
are
out.
limited. Every month and during certain events,
Because it was
there
just
is
that
a
good.
purchasable battle pass for $20. And reaching the end of the reward track will give you a unique character skin. As it currently stands, if you missed out on the original run of the battle pass, there is no alternative way to get them. This is probably the major thing that truly has the element of FOMO, though this would depend on how much you value cosmetics.
Which, once again, I've only touched
Another
that battle
case of
pass
this would be
once.
collab events.
Sugar's
In
skin was
2023,
crazy.
There have been
It was
two,
worth it.
the Chainsaw Man collab and the Nier collab. It's
The Nier
quite
collab,
unlikely
believe
that
it or
these
not, was the one I saw the most when I wasn't playing the game. Not the Chainsaw Man one. It was the Nier collab that I saw the most when I wasn't playing the game. Back when I was playing games like, Soccer Spirits. Or not Soccer Spirits, I'm thinking of the wrong game. Oof. Honkai Impact 3rd. Genshin Impact when I first started playing that in 2022. Or 2021. No, it was 2022. I'm dumb. I've only been playing for a couple years. So, that, and what other game was I playing? I think I was playing Epic 7 around that time too, maybe. And then I was also occupied with Sword Art Online at that time. I think I was grinding the hell out of that, plus military stuff and all the other crazy stuff. But I think I saw a lot of the Nier Automata advertisement for that game around that time.
Events or
Correct me if I'm
characters
wrong,
will
though,
get a
because
rerun,
my memory's
but
fuzzy.
This really isn't an issue with Nikke, but an issue with collab events and gacha games in general. Because of
Also, the
problems that
minigames
arise
in this
with
game are
licensing,
actually pretty
it's
entertaining.
normal for gacha collab events to never get a rerun. So while this would count as FOMO, it's an issue that's shared universally across all gacha games. Now that we're done about talking about the bad parts, what are some ways Nikke does to eliminate FOMO? Well, every event will last either 2 or 3 weeks.
Sugar's skin in this game's so
and
good.
at some point after the event
And I got
ends,
Moran too.
certain ones are added to the event archive. This is where you
Bro,
can
they
still
need this added into Genshin. I'm gonna stop pausing as much. But they need this added into Genshin because the fact that you can look back on all of the stuff that you've done throughout the whole entire game is actually a feature that needs to be also in every gacha game too. Just Genshin in general. Because there's so many good events that are in Genshin that a lot of newer players aren't going to be able to see. Like the Scaramouche event, which I can't see unless I go on YouTube. Or like a bunch of different ones, like the one from when you went to Dragon Spawn, I'm pretty sure. Because they don't have that feature in them. They don't have that feature in them. And a lot of those features, especially with Genshin, that makes it worse, are story related. Like really important to the story. Especially if you're just getting into the game. So the fact that Nikke has this,
still view
amazing.
the story and play the minigame of certain events from the past. And it is permanent. Meaning, even if you started playing today,
Like, permanent
you can
content
still
is just so
experience some of the
crucial,
most
bro.
impactful events
So
the game has
crucial
had
to a
so
gacha
far.
game.
And because of this feature, even new players are able to catch up on the lore and be in the loop on why these events were so good. The event archive is not something typically seen in gacha games, and it is being updated with every content patch. Genshin never rerun events, FGO does it once after a year or so having all the best events right at your fingertips permanently is an amazing way to treat
It's
even
not even just the
latecomers
events,
to
just
the
the
game.
main
And I
story
would
in general.
argue missing out on story
You can look back at the
content
main
is
story,
way
too.
more impactful than missing out on skins. I also want to briefly talk about UI and accessibility. In story cutscenes, you can view the backlog
And there's
of
a skip
recent
button.
dialogue
That
in
we
case
don't
you
skip
missed
though
something,
because I'm
and
completing the
skip
story.
button exists. There's also keyboard shortcuts on PC, so you
Best
can just
believe
press
they need
1
that
or
skip
2
button
on the
for the
keyboard
R&R quest
when
in
selecting
Genshin, bro. They
dialogue
needed
prompts,
that skip button.
instead of forcing you to drag your mouse over the button. These may seem very fundamental features to have, and they are. The skip and backlog button have been present from FGO all the way back in 2015, yet the highest
They've been
grossing
there
gacha game
since
right
Pokemon
now doesn't
Conquest
seem
in
to know how to do
2012.
this. The game will also
Since
give
2012,
skill
bro.
reset modules from time to time, where you will get refunded all the materials put into a unit's skill, in case you want to respec it into something else. You can also reset a unit's levels with a tiny bit of premium currency. The passive resource building up only completely fills up after 24 hours, and even lets it overflow for a bit after that.
I
So
love
you
that
only have to
feature.
log
I've been
in
leveling
once
up
a day
mostly just due
maximize
to
your
that.
output. The icing on top, you don't actually have to level
The
every
synchro
character you
device, the
get
best
with the
feature
synchro
in any
device
gacha game
mechanic.
I've seen,
You
bro.
just have to level 5 units. and everyone else placed into the device will automatically
Best
sync
feature,
the level
bro.
to the 5 units.
Imagine if every
You can
gacha
also
game had
view
that. It saves
past
so many
story
people so
cutscenes,
much time
listen to
for
the game's
leveling up
OST,
characters.
which absolutely slaps, by the way,
Yep.
and also set a
OST
music
be
track on
going
your
crazy.
main lobby
Bro, if
screen.
you go into the
As
shop,
with any successful
like
gacha game on the
the
market,
shop where you have to
getting
buy
the
stuff
late
for real
game will
money, you
unlock
just sit there
challenge
with the music
content
playing,
and
it's
other modes
nuts.
to test your skills.
It's nuts.
The game may have just started out as an idle game, but the mechanics and team building can get complex, where late game levels will demand manual play and understanding of the level structure or bosses. However, unlike Genshin, there is actually significant endgame content in the form of...
I will never understand why Genshin didn't put in-game content in their game. It would have been the one thing that saved it. But for some reason, I remember that interview back way, what was it, 2-3 years ago? Where it's like people were talking about in-game content and the community finally got an answer from the devs. And they talked about how the only reason they're not putting in-game content in Genshin is because it would stress them out. It would stress the player base out. That was their reason. And after that, it just went downhill. Even though everybody was asking for it. If it would stress the player base out in Genshin to have in-game content, then why would people ask for it, bro? Never understand that. Never understand why they didn't do it, bro. But then again, that's why Honkai Star Rail is doing better right now. They got in-game content. They got so much in-game content, and it's permanent. And it's permanent. Keep that in mind, bro. They got like 3 forms of in-game content in that game, bro. It's nuts.
Competitive raids. You will either participate as a part of a union for the union raid, or individually via the solo raid that happens once per month respectively.
I need to find a
It's
union.
mainly an
Like,
optional
I don't know if
challenge for
there's like
those
a
that are a
thing
bit
on
competitive.
Discord for
There's no
unions,
significant
but they need to
rewards, even if
invite,
you
like,
place
they need to get
highly on the
something going
leaderboard.
because I don't even
For
know
the
if my
union
union's
raid, you
active.
get more union chips for spending in the shop for late game upgrades. But even with little investments or an inactive union, as long as you participate in it, you will still have a steady income of these union chips. Other than that, there's nothing else for union raids other than a rank that you can show off on the top charts. For solo raids, you will get a bit of extra gacha currency and a unique avatar border depending on your placement relative to all players.
Solo
With a
raids
tier 3
and
border
team
if you
raids can be
score in the
fun.
top 3%. It's actually
Not for the
surprisingly
union,
quite
but I'm talking
doable
about like
if
the
you've been
co-op
playing for
raids and
long,
everything like
as
that.
the
Those
casual
are fun.
players vastly outnumber the whales, though they are the ones funding this game. Just a subtle incentive to participate in raids, but nothing too significant. The gacha currency you get are pretty negligible, and you can still get something even for just participating in it. Another mode of competition is PvP,
Which
but
is basically
unlike
just a
normal
flex
gameplay,
mode.
you can't control anything. So
It's
it's mainly
basically
a mode
just
for
a
whales.
flex
From
mode,
PvP,
bro.
you can get arena tickets as a currency and a tiny bit of gems, which can be used to buy certain upgrade materials. But again, if you participate in it at all, you'll be swimming in these tickets. You do not get anything else for ranking high in PvP other than flexing. One of the major reasons I decided to stick around was because the developers are very communicative with the player base.
I'll say this, I'm gonna once again stop pausing as much, but communication is key, bro. You have good communication with a game, you're solid. Everything else will just come after as long as you make sure the communication is good. Like, if you know how to talk to your player base, if you make sure that you go radio silent with issues that might be going on with the game or stuff that player base might want, you'll be solid. Especially if you have a good gameplay behind it and good story behind it, you'll be solid.
They're quite generous in that regard.
And
More
Genshin
so
need to
than
take
any
notes
previous
because they are
gacha games
radio
I've played.
silent right now.
Here are some examples.
Radio
During the
silent.
announcement of the first anniversary
The
of
only time
any gacha game, you
that
would
Genshin
expect
wasn't
that
radio
the team
silent
behind it would be,
was
be a
the
bit more
Zhongli
generous in
buff,
terms
and that
of
was it.
rewards to celebrate this occasion and to incent.
And when that, what's not, like, he's talking about the anniversary right now. Bro. Well, we're talking about anniversaries. Did y'all, like, let's be real, everybody knows about Genshin's first anniversary and how they basically downvoted Google Classroom to oblivion. I forgot what it was that they gave out, but it was, like, really bad. It was really bad. And even then, the third anniversary, which is this year, they gave out 3 polls for 3 years. That is insanely, that is dumb. They basically said, so we're gonna, I don't know, shaft you real quick, but buy more of our stuff. Like, that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous, bro. And it's because of that there's all this drama going around the Genshin community right now. Like, and let alone other problems, but still.
Incentivize players to stick around or get
Like,
others
even
for
Bleach
return.
Brave Souls
While the
Epic
Genshin
7
community
give out
had to do a
better
bit of trolling
rewards.
for them to shell out
my
a
God, the
total of
cheat
20
sheet
polls.
freaking-
Can you take a guess on how many polls Nikke gave?
50?
Was it
I'm guessing
30,
50.
40? 50? How about 106? In addition...
I don't think there's a gacha game that tops that. Let me know down in the comments. Have you ever seen a gacha game that you've played give out 127 pulls? Because I haven't. Not yet. Honkai Star Rail might try and up this. They might. They might try and up this. They already gave out a free 5-star. 20 pulls. And they already give out 10 pulls every live stream. But 127? Nothing tops that. That's how you give back to your player base. And that's another thing. Is if you have a good player base, if you have a huge player base in general, or even a small one, make sure that if they're supporting you, it doesn't cost you anything to give back. It doesn't cost you anything to give back to your player base, bro. It really doesn't. Like, that's crazy.
In addition to releasing a lore-heavy 3-week
actually
event,
crazy.
New main story mode chapters, they also gave out a max limit broken welfare SSR unit. Now that's how
dumb.
You do an anniversary.
A max limited.
I was originally thinking,
Snow White.
Well, if they're being so generous, isn't it a possibility where they run out of money?
Nah.
Well, no, because during that month, the game reported record profits.
That's when they beat Honkai Star Rail.
This was the month where they surpassed Star Rail.
That's when they beat Star Rail. It's the anniversary.
If you treated the player base well, then they will treat you well right back.
It's common sense, but I mean, common sense ain't too common these days, bro.
To respond to
Trust me.
Feedback. And here are some of the examples during its first year. We heard you like this mini game in our last event, so we're gonna add it as a permanent.
Once again,
mode.
communication is
we
key,
heard
bro.
You were a massive Makima simp, so we made an alternative skin to remove her coat. We heard you said this new character is weak, so here's a buff to make her one of the most broken units in the game.
Fucking Red
know
Hood,
you
man.
may want a specific character, but RNG has.
I mean, Scarlet right now is the hardest hitting character in the game.
An SSR selector that you can just
but
straight
during
up
that time,
choose to
from
get
what
a
I've heard,
specific
Red Hood
5-star
was on
in
top.
The standard banner. I myself is okay with putting money into the game every now and then, because unlike the developers of FGO, I know that the money is being put to a good cause. During the initial run of the first
not even
Christmas
just
event,
FGO,
it was
Genshin
not
too, bro.
voiced. However,
Sheesh.
1 year later, when they
it costs you nothing to
get
give back to your player base, man. It really doesn't.
Voice acted it.
Especially if you're
They didn't
making
have to do
millions of
that.
dollars. It
Yet
costs
the
you
team
nothing
seems
to give back.
Surprise me at every turn. There is also a pseudo roguelike challenge mode in beta right now that allows you to enable certain difficulty modifiers for additional rewards. At times, they just randomly throw out 10 summon tickets at you for being nominated for some kind of reward.
Bro, they'll be giving out free codes in the Discord. Like, make sure to go into the Nikke Discord if you want free gems and stuff. They be giving out stuff like that
not
daily.
Just something you see very often. And because of all these factors, ShiftUp has gained a lot of goodwill from the community.
You treat your player base right, bro, and this is what you get, man. It's as simple as that.
When I invest in a piece of media, like a TV show, hobby, or game, how the community treats each other can also impact my enjoyment.
This might be the last time I pause because we're almost at the end of the video, but man, when it comes to community, Nikke's communities, even though it's smaller, keep that in mind too, it's a smaller community than Genshin's. And it's like night and day, bro. It's like night and day. Like, I could really go into it, but I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all already know what it is. Especially if you've interacted with the communities of both these games before. It's like night and day, man.
Of that piece of media. Before Nikke, I tried making Genshin content. And while I did manage to get somewhere there, making Nikke content just felt more satisfying. On some of my Genshin guides, I pinned a comment asking if anyone knowledgeable about the meta to privately reach out to me to correct any mistakes I make.
You know what's crazy? Is with the Genshin community, especially when it comes to meta, if you don't make your build a certain way, they will absolutely flame you. I remember I was watching Asmongold play Genshin, and I was in his chat watching him. Well, I was not even in his chat. I was kind of just sitting on my desk, kind of having his thing in the background. They were absolutely flaming him on how to play the game, which he did not care, obviously. But they were just flaming him because he wasn't playing the game the way he was, the way they were. It was crazy up in that chat, man. And it was not to talk about the fact that the shipping community, oh my god, let's not get into that. Like, shipping community, the death threats with the voice actors, it's just like, bro. It's like, once again, night and day, bro.
And after tens of thousands of views, nothing.
Night and day, bro.
But when I reached 1K subscribers on the Nikke channel, I had 2 people in the community reach out, offering their congratulations and invitation to participate in their event. Genshin has a much bigger fanbase, but your input feels like nothing but a drop of water in a pond. The community for Nikke is certainly not as big as Hoyoverse's, but it feels like your voice matters more, and word gets around faster about who you are as a creator. and it makes me feel rewarded for making content on the game. I started out on YouTube 3 years ago covering an indie game called Dead Cells. Again,
Indie
a very
games be
close
carrying.
knit
I'm not gonna
community
lie to you.
with a supportive fan base.
Indie games
And
have been
I was
carrying
happy
these
to
last couple of
continue to
years.
make content for it. The quality of my videos are the exact same for my Nikke and Genshin channels. But how is it that even with a smaller community, I was able to reach twice the amount of subscribers versus my Genshin channel? The comments I get on my Nikke videos
I mean, it's
barely
like
have any
it's like
nitpicks,
going in a
and even
pond
when
versus
it's
going
pointing out
into
a
an
mistake,
ocean.
it's usually done quite constructively. There is a reason why I put 800 hours into Deep Rock Galactic, and the supportive fan base
Like you
is
can have,
one of
like
them.
you can have a big community, but it still be basically just like you or word doesn't mean nothing. And yeah, you'll have a small. I'm saying this wrong. You have a big community, and like depending on how it is, it can just be completely useless. But if you got a small, tight knit community and they're all like good and shit like that, you'll grow a lot faster. You just will, and it'll be more fun as a side effect too.
Reasons. Again, the community for a piece of media can impact your enjoyment of that piece of media. For this last part of the video, I also want to give some warnings to those already playing Nikke. The game is very generous, and it can actually also be dangerous.
Generous is
because
an
players
understatement.
will
Man.
always want more. I've seen some complaints about the gacha rates being unfair, but that's really just the result of being unlucky. And
Which will
I
happen
have
to
been there
everybody.
myself.
Being
There are
unlucky
many
happens
other
to
gacha
everybody. It
games
is a
with
gacha
abysmal
after all.
rates, so the 4% in Nikke
There are
is
gonna be those
already
banners where you just get
extremely
shafted.
generous. I've seen some complaints about the grind.
I've had
for
that happen to me
making
in Bleach.
gear, but it's
There have been
really
times,
not as
bro, where
bad
I was
as
just
farming
getting
Genshin
shafted
artifacts
out there.
or materials from FGO. I've also seen some complaints about the $60 gacha skins. But again, Girls Frontline has a minuscule skin gacha drop chance of below 1%, and the pity can require in the hundreds of dollars to build up.
They
No
talk
matter
about
how
$60
bad you think
gacha
some of the
skins,
aspects
man.
in the game are,
It could get a lot
the
worse
reality
than
is
100.
some others have it much worse than this.
Genshin,
So
actually,
despite
their
these
skins only
concessions,
cost you
I'm
like.
quite content with the pace they're going. Shift Up had their cards stacked against them. With already so many successful
I think their skins
gacha
are only
games on the
$20,
market,
which is
they
like the
had to
one thing
find
I'll
some
give
way
to them is
stand
at
out.
least their skins didn't
And
cost that
stand
much.
out, they certainly did. You can't beat Hoyoverse in technical standards. You can't beat FGO in brand recognition, but you can treat the player base better. You can balance just the right amount of grind and endgame content to keep things interesting. And you can build up a lot of goodwill and make the player base universally supportive of what you do. Nikke existed in a perfect storm. It was smart enough to take advantage and propel its way to the top. I thought a lot about what kind of content I wanted to create.
I mean,
next
once again,
on
just
YouTube.
treat your, like,
And
the moral of the
reviewing
story
stuff
with
I
this
talked
video,
about in this video only makes me feel that I made the
honestly,
right
is
decision.
just treat your player base
Thank you
right.
for watching. I hope you learned something new or got interested in trying out this game. We'll be glad to see you in the game or checking out more of my content, because there's gonna be a lot more of it. And lastly, always remember, have fun with the game.
I mean, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. And I've been watching a lot of his content when it comes to Nikke, just catching up with everything. So, I mean, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll leave the link down to his video down below. But, I mean, once again, I mean, moral of the story, just treat your player base right. Have a story. Have something there other than just, like, waifu bait. And I think you'll do fine. I feel like, and let alone everything else. Let alone everything else. Like, honestly, just the moral of the story, treat your player base right. If you're gonna have a game with a bunch of waifus in it, at least have some story behind it. At least have a good, grind behind it. And you'll do fine. Everything else will just follow. And also, it costs you nothing. I feel like this is the biggest part. It costs you nothing to give back to your player base. It costs you freaking nothing. Especially if they're loyal. It costs you nothing to give back to a good player base, man. But without further ado, that's pretty much gonna be it for me. Video's 33 minutes long. Was not expecting that to be too long, but hey, it could have been a lot longer, but that's pretty much going to be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below if you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to him and to me as well. Trying to hit 1,000 subs. Be pretty nice. And I'm going to head the hell out. Peace.